Okay, everyone. Get ready to dive into the dark side of Halloween.
Yeah.
We're not talking about, cheesy decorations or the usual spooky pranks.
Right.
We're going deeper than that.
Yeah.
With some chilling true crime stories.
Yeah, we're talking about the cases that are as creepy as they are fascinating.
Exactly.
And we're not just here to give you goosebumps.
Right.
These cases, as unsettling as they are, I think they offer a glimpse into the darker aspects of human nature
Yeah,
and the enduring mysteries that continue to baffle investigators to this day.
for sure. So we've got a lot to cover today.
Yeah.
From cases that are infamous and forever linked to Halloween
Right.
to unsolved murders that happened on Halloween night itself, plus a more recent case that honestly feels like it's straight out of a horror movie.
Oh, yeah.
And get this, we're also going to be looking at some strange coincidences.
Okay.
That might make you wonder if there's actually more to fear on Halloween than meets the eye.
It's interesting what you said about that because
Yeah.
what I find particularly interesting is how these cases,
Mm-hmm.
whether they're solved or unsolved,
Yeah.
they often tap into some of our deepest fears.
But
Betrayal,
right.
vulnerability, the unknown.
For sure.
And those fears tend to feel amplified around Halloween, don't they?
Oh, absolutely.
The darkness, the costumes, the stories we tell.
Yeah,
It creates a uniquely unsettling atmosphere.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's start with a case that, while it was solved,
Mm-hmm.
still sends chills down the spines of parents every year when Halloween rolls around.
Right.
It's 1974, and honestly, no one could have predicted the horror that would unfold.
Right.
It centers around Ronald Clark O'Brien, a name that's become synonymous with Halloween horror, the Candyman.
Yeah, a name that speaks volumes about the case's lasting impact on how we view Halloween. This wasn't just a murder.
Right.
It was this calculated act of betrayal
Yes.
that targeted the innocence of the holiday.
It's truly horrifying. I mean,
Yeah.
this father,
Yeah.
driven by greed, poisoned his own 8-year-old son
Yeah.
with cyanide-laced pixie sticks
I mean...
in an attempt to cash in on an insurance policy.
Wow.
Can you imagine the absolute breach of trust?
Unbelievable.
And the scariest part is it worked.
Yeah?
For a while, at least.
For a while. Yeah, and chillingly.
Yeah.
O'Brien didn't stop there.
Oh.
To make it seem like a random act of terror, he actually gave out other poison treats to children in his neighborhood.
Wow.
Thankfully, none of those were consumed.
Oh, my God.
But the intent was absolutely there.
Wow.
This case sent shockwaves through the nation.
It's every parent's worst nightmare.
Yeah.
I remember my own parents meticulously checking my candy for years after that,
Oh, yeah.
holding each piece up to the light, looking for any sign of tampering.
And that's the thing about this case, isn't it?
Yeah.
It didn't just end with O'Brien's conviction.
Right.
This single-handedly fueled a widespread fear
Oh, yeah.
of tampered Halloween candy that continues to this day.
Although I know it.
Think about it. We have urban legends about razor blades and apples
Right.
and poison treats that persist even though statistically the threat is incredibly low. That's the power of this case.
Wow.
It tapped into this primal fear, this
Right.
fear that continues to echo through generations.
It's amazing how one man's horrific actions could have such a ripple effect on society's perception of an entire holiday.
I know.
Make you wonder, while O'Brien's case preyed on those parental fears,
Right.
did any families face real-life Halloween tragedies with no easy answers, no closure?
Unfortunately, yes. And there are many cases where Halloween night itself
Yeah.
became the backdrop for real-life horror stories.
Wow.
Let's move on to those cases now.
Let's shift our focus now to those real-life Halloween tragedies you mentioned.
Okay.
These cases are particularly unsettling because it reminds us that sometimes the scariest monsters aren't the ones that we imagine in the shadows,
Right.
but the ones walking among us.
Absolutely. And the fact that these murders happened on Halloween night
Right.
just amplifies the horror.
It does.
It's supposed to be a night for fun and make-believe.
I know it.
But for the victims and their families, it became a night of unimaginable loss.
Let's start with a case from 2004. The murders of Leslie Mazzara and Adrienne Insomnia.
Okay.
They were brutally killed in their Napa Valley home on Halloween night.
Right.
A stark reminder that even in seemingly idyllic communities, darkness can intrude.
Yeah.
What makes this case even more unsettling is that it took years to apprehend the killer,
Right.
who turned out to be someone they knew.
Imagine the fear and suspicion that must gripped that community.
Oh, I know it.
For years, they lived with the knowledge that a double murderer had walked among them. Someone who had shared meals, laughter, maybe even friendship with the victims.
Yeah.
It shatters that sense of safety and security we associate with our communities and our homes.
It's a chilling thought. And speaking of chilling,
Yeah.
the 1975 trick-or-treat murder of Peter Fabiano sounds like it has all the elements of a classic horror film.
It really does.
Can you tell us more about that one?
Yeah, so this case is particularly disturbing because of the audacity of it.
Okay.
Picture this. It's Halloween night,
Okay.
and Peter Fabiano answers a knock at the door thinking it's just trick-or-treaters.
Right.
But when he opens the door, he's met by someone in disguise who fatally shoots him.
Oh, my God.
The killer then just disappears into the night, blending back into the crowds of trick-or-treaters.
It's a truly horrifying thought.
Yeah.
Someone using the anonymity of a costume to commit such a bold and brazen act.
I know it.
It sends shivers down your spine. What did the investigation uncover?
Well, as if the initial crime wasn't shocking enough,
Right.
the investigation uncovered a love triangle involving Fabiano's wife,
Oh, wow.
adding another layer of betrayal and intrigue to the case.
These cases we've discussed so far were particularly brutal, but as we know, not all cases are solved.
Yeah, that's right.
What happens when the perpetrator is never brought to justice?
Well, that's when the lack of answers can become its own kind of torment.
Right.
You know, not knowing can be far more unsettling than facing a harsh truth.
Right.
It leaves this void
Yeah.
filled with speculation and unanswered questions, making it hard to move on or find closure.
For sure.
And, you know, the families are left to grapple not only with the laws, but with that constant wondering, the what-ifs that haunt their every thought.
Absolutely. Imagine the emotional toll that takes on the families, the constant wondering, the feeling of never getting true closure.
It's like trying to navigate a maze in the dark if you were an investigator on one of these cases.
Yeah.
Where would you even begin?
Well, you know, unsolved cases present unique challenges.
Right.
Especially with limited evidence or the passage of time.
Right.
Every detail, every witness statement becomes crucial.
Wow.
You're looking for that one missing piece that connects the dots, that tiny inconsistency that could blow the case wide open.
Right.
And in some cases, you know, new technologies emerge that allow investigators to re-examine old evidence, hoping for a breakthrough.
Yeah.
But even with those advancements, the passage of time often works against you.
Oh, it does.
Witnesses may misremember or worse, pass away,
Right.
taking valuable information with them.
It's a race against time and fading memories.
Exactly. And sometimes the
Yeah.
dots are just impossible to connect.
And sometimes they are.
Which is why these cases stay with us, haunting us with their unanswered questions.
Speaking of haunting,
Yeah.
let's move on to a case that, while not a murder, is nonetheless chilling.
Okay.
It's a more recent case with a Halloween connection that sent chills down the spines of anyone who heard it.
Mm-hmm.
Let's talk about the Westfield Watcher. The Westfield Watcher case is definitely unsettling.
Oh, it is.
It reminds us that even in the 21st century, some mysteries still have the power to send chills down our spines.
Mm-hmm.
For those unfamiliar.
Yeah.
Imagine this. You move into your dream home,
Right.
a place where you should feel safe and secure.
Yeah.
But then you start receiving these threatening letters from an anonymous stalker
Right.
who claims to have been watching your house for years.
And these weren't just vague threats either.
Bro.
The letters included eerie details about the family's lives,
Right.
their children's names, their daily routines.
Yeah.
It was as if this unknown watcher was intimately familiar with their every move.
Oh, that's so creepy.
Yeah, this case really preys on our deepest fears.
I know.
The invasion of privacy, the vulnerability we feel in our own homes.
Right, in our safe space.
It turns the idea of home as a sanctuary on its head.
It really does. It's terrifying to think about. Did investigators ever develop a profile of the Watcher?
You know, despite the efforts of law enforcement and the widespread attention this case received,
Right.
the watcher was never identified.
Are you serious?
The lack of answers only intensifies the fear and fascination surrounding this case.
And that's it.
It makes you wonder, could there be similar cases out there, cases where families are being terrorized by unknown stalkers lurking in the shadows?
Oh, gosh. That's a chilling thought.
Yeah.
And speaking of chilling coincidences, let's shift gears to a couple of unsolved cases
Oh,
where the timing, the spooky coincidence of it all just adds another layer to the mystery.
yeah. Sometimes, even when there's no direct link to Halloween,
Right.
the timing and the circumstances surrounding a case can be, well,
Yeah.
eerily coincidental.
Yeah.
And these coincidences tend to stick with us,
Oh, they do.
fueling our fascination with the unknown.
They do take the disappearance of Cindy Song, for example.
Right,
A young woman vanishes from a Halloween party in 2001.
right.
Last seen wearing a bunny costume. It's like something straight out of a horror movie.
And what makes Cindy's case even more unsettling is that despite numerous searches and investigations,
Right.
no trace of her has ever been found.
Wow.
Did she leave willingly? Was she the victim of foul play? These questions continue to haunt investigators and the public alike.
Right.
The fact that her disappearance happened on Halloween, a night known for costumes and altered identities,
Right.
just deepens the mystery surrounding her case.
Oh, it does. It's like she simply vanished into thin air.
It's true.
And then there's the case of Martha Moxley, a murder that gripped the nation for decades.
Yes.
It happened just before Halloween in 1975.
Okay.
And the circumstances surrounding the case are just as intriguing as the timing.
Right.
Martha Moxley was only 15 years old when she was found murdered in her own neighborhood. The fact that the investigation dragged on for decades,
Yeah.
shrouded in wealth, privilege, and suspicion, only added to the intrigue.
Right.
And though someone was eventually convicted,
Right.
there's still a lot of debate surrounding the case,
Yeah.
with many believing that justice wasn't truly served. The proximity to Halloween, with all its themes of death and the supernatural, just adds to the haunting nature of this case.
For sure.
It's a stark reminder that sometimes, even in seemingly picture-perfect communities, darkness can lurk right beneath the surface.
It can.
It makes you wonder, do these cases, with their eerie timing and unsolved mysteries, suggest that there's something inherently sinister about Halloween?
Yeah.
Is there more to fear on this night than just running out of candy?
It's easy to get caught up in spooky coincidences,
Right.
especially around Halloween. And our fascination with the unexplained certainly plays a role in how we perceive these cases.
Right.
But it's important to remember that correlation doesn't equal causation.
Right.
Halloween might be a time when we're more attuned to the strange and unsettling,
Right.
but it doesn't necessarily mean that more bad things happen.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
But after diving into all these cases, it's hard not to feel a little uneasy.
Right.
Have we uncovered any real dangers lurking in the shadows, or are we letting our Halloween anxieties get the best of us?
It's a bit of both, isn't it?
Yeah.
On the one hand, it would be naive to think that there aren't real dangers associated with Halloween.
Right.
We do see an increase in certain crimes around this time of year.
Like what?
Vandalism, drunk driving,
Right.
things of that nature.
Okay.
The combination of heightened emotions,
Right.
costumes that provide a sense of anonymity, and increased alcohol consumption can create a perfect storm for risky behavior.
So how can we enjoy the Halloween spirit without letting fear dictate our actions?
Well, it's all about finding a balance.
Okay.
By all means, enjoy the costumes, the candy, the spooky stories.
Right.
But it's also important to stay vigilant and aware of your surroundings.
For sure.
Trust your instincts and take basic safety precautions.
Yeah.
Don't let fear overshadow the fun and creativity that Halloween has to offer.
Well said. As we wrap up this Halloween-themed deep dive, it seems we're left with more than a few chills and maybe even more questions. What do you think, listeners?
Yeah.
Do these creepy cases make you more wary of the shadows this Halloween?
Yeah.
Or do you see them as cautionary tales reminding us to stay vigilant amidst the festivities? Whatever your takeaway, we hope you'll join us again next time for another deep dive into a fascinating and thought-provoking topic.